Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. So got up this morning and saw the news that there was a large rocket attack by Hamas in Israel, followed by incursions of troops into Israel. My first thought was I was really hoping this wasn't a false flag type of incident. As we know, Netanyahu has been trying to basically take over in Israel as an autocrat. And one of his first acts was trying to rearrange the Supreme Court so that he could put folks favorable towards him and move to a more authoritative regime. But it didn't feel right. And I went to Al Jazeera. I first checked out the story on CNN. Then I went to Al Jazeera, and they both documented similar things. So the thing I was looking for is I was trying to find out if Hamas took credit for it, and they did, at least on the Al Jazeera site. Launching somewhere between 2,500 and 5,000 rockets into Israel, allegedly at military bases and things along those lines. Breaches were made in security fences with troops going in on motorcycles or on foot and taking prisoners and bringing them back to Palestine, as well as I think they managed to assault a couple of military bases on the border and capture some vehicles, and they paraded those around too. Israel retaliated, as you might imagine, Air Force bombing targets and such like that. What the hell happened? I mean, that doesn't mean that there haven't been tensions rising in between Israel and Palestine and other countries in the area. But the timing, I don't even know where to begin with this. Well, I do know where to begin. I'm going to read it on the energy of that. But I don't understand the timing of this. This is not what the world needed right now. It really isn't. So clearly it is what the world needs right now. I just don't understand it. For entertainment purposes only. What's going on in Israel? What? Why? Why did this happen? It's a new journey. Foolish one if you ask me, but it's a new journey. A new initiative. Maybe trying to make changes on it. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Well, thank you, Spirit. I do appreciate it when you make it really simple. Let's see what's underneath it. Oh, God. Okay, yeah, we're not done here. This isn't going to be... This definitely was not a one-and-done thing. And I'm sorry to say that this is going to be on Hamas. Hamas decided that they wanted to do this. Whether they were radicalized or, reinvigorated with radicalization, they've decided that this needed to be done. Now, mind you, Israel isn't the nicest player in the Middle East. It truly isn't. They're not victimless here or blameless here in this whole charade. But I think someone or some entities energized Hamas to do this attack, and this is a really bad idea. Underneath it is the Nine of Wands. Again, I think this is a continuation of a war that was never declared and never ended, like an occupying force type of thing, and it's because Israel and their neighbors, they need to come to an understanding. They need to... part of the reason why Israel put up security fences and borders on their borders and stuff like that is to prevent Hamas from suicide bombers coming in, blowing up buses filled with Jewish people on it. But at the same time, Israeli actions make life a lot harder in Palestine. And... so there's a lot of anger, which feeds it's like it's a downward spiral, and at some point, you've got to, both sides have to give up so that we can stop the downward spiral and bring things up again. not trying to be holier than thou, but that's the overly simplistic answer to this problem. In the past, Page of Pentacles, there might have been some small offers or small progress with relations, but I think what we've got here is the youth of Palestine not seeing much value in the future, which makes them ripe for radicalization. And all it takes is the right person to come along to radicalize them and bring them forward. Again, which is why I was saying, if Israel and Palestine could just set aside their differences and work together to make their lives better, you'd stop this whole process. You would just short circuit it. But, okay, this is just the consequence of the way that things have been over there. People from different countries, different religions, different sides of the political spectrum, just not getting along. And this is just something that was going to happen. It's going to continue to happen until it doesn't. Or I should say, until everybody starts treating themselves respectfully and giving opportunities. This is just the natural consequence of what happens with that. When you have hopelessness, this is how it manifests. So, I think what you'll see is that Hamas will continue doing guerrilla type warfare. It's never straight up military battle. It's guerrilla warfare. It's sneaking across the border, taking things of value, prisoners, then going back across again. It could also be that both sides feel like resources are being taken from them that the other side doesn't deserve, which might be kind of, why we're hopeless here, is that, Israel makes it hopeless for the Palestinians. And from the Israeli point of view, the Palestinians are always trying to disrupt the Israeli way of life. So there just isn't any trust. Lesson to be learned. I'm not drawn to the money, although certainly the money fits, right? If you can improve the economies, the economic situations in all the countries in that area, people will have more hope for the future and will be less likely to be radicalized. But it's more than that. This is not genetics and DNA, but generations of generational values. I think the younger people are probably much more willing to work with the Palestinians for a better future, and realize this is, I don't say one of the oldest places in the world, but it's very old culture. You're talking religious sites for multiple religions, all in a small area. It's valuable to everyone, and if you deny that value to all these people, you lead to hopelessness. Somebody's going to come in and start peace talks. This won't last too... Okay, so it looks like this won't last too long. Hopefully, if I'm reading this right, this isn't a forever war. This is something where peace talks will begin in earnest to talk about that. That's what I'm hoping this means, as opposed to, we get more of this over here. But I think the international community is going to come in and work on that. It'll be a little bit because I guess there's just a lot of pressure that's built up, and they're letting that pressure out. But it's that double card that I really don't like. Okay, let's get you in there. Get some shuffling. All right. Man. And the thing is, again, with Netanyahu, you get something like this, and you get the people to rally behind you and view you as a war hero or something along those lines. And false flag type thing, tail wagging the dog. That No, they forget that you're trying to become an authoritarian in their country, and it gives you the power, to put curfews out there and martial law and such. And then while that's happening, you can do other things that would curb what protests might happen. There's a lot of work that can happen behind the scenes. The United States did come out saying they were backing Israel. They would stand firm with Israel on this one. Okay, Operation Al-Aqsa Flood is what Hamas was calling it. How does this get resolved? What can you tell me about the resolution of this conflict? Restrictions. It's opening up. Right now things are everything's closed down. I guess maybe they closed down all the borders and stuff like that. But there's going to be restrictions that are going to be involved here. And there's the agreement card again. Okay. Okay. You know how Israel has this thing where they like to build new settlements on the West Bank and in other occupied territories, so on and so forth? I think that I haven't read that's what drove this, but I think it's that, which would fit that Seven of Swords. It's about Israel continuing to build settlements in areas they're not supposed to build settlements in. So I think there's going to be a restriction and a stoppage of that. And that's what's going to lead to this agreement. That's probably what... I'll be curious to see if that's what's happening with this one. There's going to be economic and financial stuff too, but I'm wondering if it's about settlements. And that'll... Yeah, okay, this will bring an end to it. I'm curious who will be the countries that negotiate this peace or ceasefire anyways. Okay, in the past is the devil. People willingly chaining themselves to bad behaviors. Conservative Israelis love when they build new settlements on the West Bank. They absolutely dig it. And they've got to stop. Because the way to look at it is the far right in Israel are no different than the radicalized in Hamas. They just go to extremist point of views, and everybody else in the center suffers because of extremism on both sides. Current situation. Okay, there's hostages in there. That becomes a negotiation tool for Hamas. I want to say that when the Israelis are building settlements, Hamas feels like their hands are tied. And if they don't act out, and if they try to negotiate, they're ignored. So what do you leave them to do in order to get the attention they need, especially from the international community, to right a wrong? You have to do stupid stuff like this to get everybody's attention. Here we go, Wheel of Fortune again. So just like in the last reading, this is what you get when you do that. This is what you get when you do that. This is just the natural progression of it. From radicalization of young men in Hamas to radicalization of the right and the far right in Israel, you lead to this situation, and you guys are just both stuck in it. So there has to be negotiations. You have to give a little to get a little, and you have to back down on things to lower the temperature over there. Okay. The economies have to even out too. The economies have to even out. Yeah, it'll be work. Things will calm down, but it's going to be a little while before things calm down. But there will be progressions on it. You'll go from attacks to kind of like ceasefires, and the whole time there'll be work in progression on that to bring this thing to a close. Again, I don't really... Tarot's not great for a sense of timing. And if I threw cards, I don't even know how I would translate them. I can try. I'm getting way out of my comfort zone with this. My guess is that we're looking at weeks, like several weeks of hostilities. But it's going to really depend on the international community coming in and doing something about it. and starting those peace talks. But for right now, I think what's going to happen, especially when you've got a couple of those Wheel of Fortune cards, both sides have this this anxiety, this energy, and they need to get it out. They just, they need to blow shit up. That's just what they need to do. And then when both sides are done blowing shit up and enough people have suffered, then they'll talk. Unfortunately, hundreds of people, maybe thousands, will have to die in the process. We're in October here. Will these hostilities cease before the winter solstice? I want to say yes on that one. I don't think it's going to last that long. I'm guessing this is going to be a 6-week affair. But will these hostilities end before the winter solstice? Justice. Here's the new actions, the strength card, and the weary battles. If the international community gets together and hears the complaints and the grievances of both sides and promises to address those grievances on both sides, you put an end to this. The peace talks will continue. But so basically what's going to happen here, is this going to end before? It could end before Christmas, could end before the winter solstice, but it depends on the international community and guarantees from both sides that they're going to stop, basically honoring a ceasefire. Because if, the ceasefire will be new, but if you don't honor it, you're going to keep fighting here. But even if the fighting continuing, like the chariot, keeps grinding away, as long as there's a pursuit of peace talks, they can succeed. Sometimes you just have to, what might happen is that as the peace talks succeed, you're still going to have radicalized factions on both sides fighting because they don't want to stop, right? Because they both think that they're right. They're radicalized. They're right, and there's no compromise. So I would expect that the most extreme folks in Hamas will continue attacking, and there will be like groups in Israel, not necessarily state-run, but they could be associated with the state, retaliating back on that. But again, I think the ceasefire works when there's justice, and that justice is going to be, you have to acknowledge what's been going on and work to fix it so that it seems more fair for both sides. Okay, so that's my reading on Hamas and Israel. Thank you very much for supporting my channel and watching this video. I hope you found it insightful. I did. I had no idea what I was going to find on that one. It makes me feel a little bit better that this isn't Armageddon World War III stuff. But it just... Okay. Again, it's one of those things that... Kind of like how the black community with George Floyd, they've been trying to tell folks in the U.S. for decades about how they're treated differently than other people, and they just want to be treated the same. And it's only when you watch George Floyd just get choked out by cops, and it's realized, oh crap, they've been telling us this for decades, and we've just been thinking that they're exaggerating. They weren't. And that's going to be the same thing you're going to find here. Maybe the world wakes up to it and makes things a bit more fair and allows everyone to live in peace, so we don't have to go through these flare-ups of anger and hostilities which lead to lots of deaths. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your likes, shares, and comments, for feeding the YouTube algorithm beast so that my videos make it out to new viewers. And those new viewers, welcome to the channel. Again, I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.